Hey, and happy Thursday to everybody. And once again, I thought the most recent appearance from you was much sooner. I just went and looked today. I was like, damn, it's been 7 months.
Dang,
Back on the show, we got Gage Hogsten from Norman Studios in Florida. Gage, how we doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's almost the
Uh,
end of the week for me. So,
it is. It
yeah,
is. For everybody listening, Gage has a super sensitive microphone, and
yeah.
we know that, and we're sorry.
Again, I couldn't figure out how to turn it down at all. But at least
uh,
it works this time. I was telling Ryan last time I did the unwatched pile with the Chasing Labels podcast. I didn't get it working at all. So at least I have a mic tonight.
The mic is useful and it sounds wonderful. You sound sultry, radio DJ. Let's do it. We got a lot of stuff to cover this week, so we'll be going deep into the announcements. We're gonna be talking about some pickups, some recent watches, checking on Norman Studios, and then of course after our regular part of the show tonight, we're gonna be doing our film discussion tonight. We are covering the films of 2013. And the reason for that, usually I let the guests decide most everything, but today's my wedding anniversary, and we got married in 2013, and so we are celebrating the year in film of 2013. We've been married 11 years, and between my wife and I, ever since we were kids, the number 11 was special, and so it's our 11-year anniversary. So this next year has to be special, right? I mean, that's how it goes.
It will be.
All right.
Congratulations, brother. That's really awesome for you guys.
Thanks. Yeah. We have known each other for a very, very long time. We met
I
when
saw
we
those photos.
those photos are very, very old. Yeah, if you want to see the super young pictures of Ryan and Laura, check out the Discord. It was a long time ago. That was she was a freshman in high school, and I was a senior at that time. And I had skipped a grade, so I was actually closer in age to her. It's not that far.
I was about to
But
say you were robbing the cradle. Let's go.
not quite. No, we had met, gosh, back in I believe it was 2001, and technically we dated in 2002, separated, went our own, different lives for a while, and somehow found each other back again. Even we were still friends that entire time, but we didn't really consider each other like that. But man, it was a interesting, wonderful growing experience, and ever since then we've been growing together as wonderful people, and I love her, and yeah, she's amazing.
That's awesome, and she puts up with your disc collecting, so, I mean,
Not only that, she encourages it and, tells me not to stop, not to sell anything, not to give anything away, and I'm
let's
like,
go.
"Babe, we're out of space. I gotta do something."
There's no reason to get rid of any of it.
Yeah, we have known each other for quite some time, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So, celebrating tonight and, excited to do it. We Gage and I decided to do a top 10 from 2013, and, somehow we both ended up with over 15 titles, so we're gonna have a whole bunch of honorable mentions to discuss as well. And, yeah, it's gonna be a great night. So, first, let's check in on Norman Studios. What's been going in with you?
So, that's 7 months ago. I'm trying to think of
It
was
was
a long
last
time ago.
July.
July, okay. So that's around the time that we had our big grand opening, and I don't remember the if it was the week that, maybe before or somewhere around that
I
time. I
think it was
remember
about to happen right
about to
after we
happen.
did.
Okay. So it wound up being, like, amazing. The Friday night before. Oh, also, yeah, thank you to everybody in the chat. I saw some people saying hello to me. Thank you. Um, the, uh the Friday before our grand opening, we had I forget what it was exactly, the Institute of, like, Preservation or something, National Institute of Preservation or something like that came, and they had about, like, 80 people there from all over the country. So, for whatever reason, I guess every year they have, like, a convention, and they could go to a different city, and they were in Jacksonville this year, and so we, uh we had them here for that Friday night, and then the next day, we had about 150 people.
Jeez.
And yeah, which was we've never had, like, that many people there all at
Right.
once. It was insane for, like, 2 days in a row to just be packed like that, like, the inside of the buildings I mean, it's a big
Right.
building, but it's not, that big, and to have all those people in there was nuts. And then, actually, on Sunday, something that was very special to me, very everybody in here, Jacksonville, knows of the story. You guys probably do too, because it was national news. I don't know if you remember the story of the young man that was Jordan Davis that had got shot at a gas station for playing his music too loud
Mm, yeah.
back in 2012. His father actually called us and was like, "Hey, can like we do a tour?" And I was the only one available, and so wound up the next day on a Sunday giving him a private tour of the buildings, and
Wow.
just being able to hang out with him for a few hours and talk was absolutely amazing. He is like such a cool guy, so nice, and he's actually came back a couple times since then and brought more people.
Nice.
It was really special. And then I think I brought up that our president was in poor health,
Yeah.
and she actually surprised everybody and showed up to the grand opening, and it
Nice.
was insane to see her. And then she wound up passing away just like a few weeks afterwards.
Yeah.
And it was very special that she was able to be there for that, because they actually gave us our plaque for becoming a National Historic Landmark at that event, and also gave her recognition and honors. The mayor and the council people from our district were there and all gave her honors and everything. It was awesome.
Interesting. Wow, that's a hell of a weekend.
Yeah, and then I guess the other big news, I think I was telling you guys last time on there, we knew that we were possibly getting the last building part of the properties.
Yeah.
We finally got it, and we got the keys to it in January, and we're actually in the building now, which is awesome. So
Sweet,
it's a
sweet.
giant space that we've used before. It has a stage in it because of a church, and we've had orchestra set up on the stage and projector up on the wall and everything, and it's more modernized than the rest of the building, but we'll have to do some work before we actually open it to the public. Safety stuff like old rotten wood that needs to be taken care of before it becomes an event space. So
Right.
we're going to take care of a lot of that stuff here soon, and we're hoping by the summertime to be able to actually have that open for galas, banquets, and do some movie showing again. Finally, we haven't done anything since COVID, so
Jeez.
yeah, it's been a long time. We'll bring back Silent Sundays quarterly and do film showings with live musical accompaniment from JU, hopefully.
And then pretty soon you should have some merch available on the site, right?
I'm wearing
I love it.
Crimson Skull shirt. That was the artwork on it is awesome. It's taken from a press book, um, an original press book that was donated to us by one of our board members, and she actually paid to have it scanned. And we now have the high resolution file for it to use on everything. And I gave it to
Nice.
a local company here in town that does screen printing, and we made these awesome shirts for it. And I know Celeste is a blank uh, aficionado. She was saying that she likes to know what the blanks are. This is on a Color Comforts heavyweight tee, so it's a nice
Very nice.
quality T-shirt.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
it's so great. And then we also have black and white Norman Studio logo tees that will be a little bit cheaper. They're just on like basic Gildan, whatever their basic
Right.
shirts are. And we'll have posters. We have posters of Regeneration, the film that only survives one reel of it still survives. That it's on a bonus feature on that African Americans Pioneers of African American box set. But that's what we've named the whole exhibit for our opening exhibit is Regeneration. So
Wow. Interesting. And that'll be the next couple months those will be available online, right?
yes, we're open before hopefully before the summer. Hopefully that should happen very soon because we actually it's a long process that we have to go through our like membership um like it's like a company that does membership for us, and so like they're making the store for us on our website. So
Smart.
it's just kind of like I pass it on to one person and then they pass it on to them. So it's just very slow. And then all the taxes involved because we're a nonprofit. So,
Right.
but still have to pay taxes for like sales and use and stuff if we're going to sell merchandise. So just a lot
So
of like, numbers
wh-
to deal with.
when that goes up online, I will be sharing that with everybody, and we'll share the links and all that. Just remember, anything that you purchase from Norman Studios in the future will go back right to the studios. You'll help them out and do all kinds of stuff to help film restoration and keeping stuff alive that is literally on the verge of going extinct.
Yeah, we fully only exist because of donations that we get from you guys. Everybody on the board, we're all volunteers. None of us make money off of this. We all actually pay to be board members. So
Wow.
We put our own money into this, and yeah, so luckily have gotten a lot of donations over the past year, but it's still nowhere near enough to be able to run these gigantic properties that we have and do the
Right.
things that we need to be able to do. So anything that you purchase from us, it's all going straight back to keeping these buildings standing.
That's so great. Speaking of our own money, why don't we get into some pickups? Anything that you got recently you're excited about?
Okay, so I've been very poor since Christmas, and I haven't really gotten much. And I got these a while ago. I haven't watched them yet, but they're still sealed. I don't open things until I watch them, which I think we talked about that last time. To me, it's
Yep.
part of the ritual of like
I
the
get it.
night. Yeah. So, but when Grindhouse opened back up, I got the Fascination 4K because I knew it was running low, and I want to get all the genre line stuff. So,
How do you feel about the new indicator like slimline packaging they're doing?
dude, I love it. I
I
know
love
some
it too.
people. I mean, I'm not like the biggest like uh fan of like it changing, like
Right.
the criterions people complain about the digipack and then the standard digipack standard and all that. I'm not the biggest fan of it being different, but like I don't really mind. And like I think that these slim because they're still that hard
Yep.
box. They're just slim. So
Yeah.
like when I first heard about it, I thought they would be like more like a softer digipack, and I was like, but then when I got them in, and you get if once you get like 4 or 5 of them, and you're holding them like this, you're like, "Oh, yeah, this
It's
is
the
that."
best of both worlds. They're
Yeah,
so nice.
I love it, and it saves space,
Yep.
especially when
Bingo.
you don't think you're about to have 10 individual genre line movies, and now you
Right.
do. If they were all, like, this thick, you'd be like,
Yeah,
"Oh, that's a whole shelf now." And
that's
then,
true.
the only other one I got is a big one, the Mae
Ooh.
West and Hollywood box set from Indicator as well. I've wanted this for so long because the transfers are very similar to the Kino ones. That they're
Right.
maybe a tad better through Indicator, but the Kinos all have no special features. This thing's full of special features. You get a book. The artwork
Yep.
on these are better. And Kino only did 9 movies, and this has 10 movies. So one of these movies I think is still unavailable in the United States. So I had
Uh,
to get this, and I've been wanting it since it's came out. It was like what 3 years ago now, and
yeah.
but I've never had a region free player until my wonderful girlfriend got me one for Christmas this past year. So
What
had
a
to
perfect
pick this
Christmas.
up. Oh, it was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that box set, when it got announced, that had Gage's name written all over it. So
Oh yeah. Well, there's Cary Grant's my favorite actor, and I think he's in 2 movies in it, maybe 3, something like that. So
nice,
yeah.
nice.
What about you? You got anything?
I got 3 here. One, took advantage of a price drop recently, got the
Oh
second
man.
volume of the Looney Tunes Collector's Choice. Cannot wait to see what they do. We got the 3rd one announced. I really hope we get eventually everything, would be incredible.
Yeah.
And then from, MVD Visual, this came in for review. This is Punto Rojo. This is a crime film that they put out, and the cool thing, I loved last year's When Evil Lurks. It was done by the same director that did Terrified a few years ago, and one of the actors from that is in here, and it's supposed to be really great. So eager to see this. And then on top of that, it's got a short film from the director, and for a movie like this, that's really rare. So
Yeah.
this is a surprisingly good deal on Amazon right now. Check that out if you are interested. And then the latest, this is brand new from OCN, the Zombie Army, which
That's the
this is a super fun slip on a movie that Will and I are on the special features here. We're on something called Incubators of Death, the Asylum in Horror Cinema. And it is a really fun visual essay that is pretty unique because we talk about the depictions of asylum in horror. And as we are going through the history of asylums in horror, it sort of has our narrator for this slowly becoming somebody that should be ingratiated into one of these asylums, and he starts to get a little deranged by the end of it. I recommend checking it out. The movie itself, it is a shot on video zombie movie that is pretty wild. I know it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but the package itself is really fascinating for a movie like this, and I really hope everybody likes the special features because I know it's a big deal to get something like this. That I mean, this is like locally made horror that is showing up on Blu-ray through Saturn's Core, which is now a fairly big OCN partner label. So I'm stoked on that.
Yeah, that's awesome. They're really cool. I have a few of their releases. I know that was running low, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that was one of the faster selling ones
Yeah,
um,
I gotta
from
get
from
that.
this month.
Yeah, I gotta get that because I love their slips. They look awesome.
Yeah.
That like Halloween and like hayride horror, that
Yep.
slip was so cool. I loved the artwork on that.
Yeah, they're doing great with art recently. Ragnar says, "How did I get that zombie film already? I got it because I got a contributor
'Cause you're
copy."
the man.
Yeah, no, definitely not the man, but yeah, the OCN Saturn's Core sent that ahead of time. Um, let's
I do wanna
see.
say, Ragnar666 says it's never a good idea to leave your movie sealed, which funny enough, I've never ran into any problems with that until about a month ago. I actually opened up my copy of Battleship Potemkin to finally actually watch it. I watched it in like a film class in high school and was on my phone playing Subway Surfer, whatever,
Yeah.
not actually watching it. So I was like, I'm finally gonna watch it. And I opened it and there was disc rotting on the bottom of it, which
Oh,
that's the only other time I've ever ran into disc rotting issues was with the Mickey Spallane, Criterion. I forget what the name of that movie is.
oh yeah, I know what you're
Spaghetti.
talking
That
about.
one had the rusting or whatever on the bottom, and I opened up Battleship Potemkin, and it had little brown spots all over it, and so I know I bought that probably 7 years ago, something ridiculous, so I was like, yeah, I know, so I'll have to luckily, the Kino, those are on sale for, like, $12 all the
Right.
time, so
Well, funny enough, let this be a warning for everybody. Fairly recently, I don't remember what the title was, but I sold some old Scream Factory copy that I hadn't opened because I had another copy from some older release that I just watched, and I bought the Blu-ray to upgrade and said, I want to watch this eventually. Never opened it, and then since then it got a 4K release, and
yeah.
so I was like, I'll just get rid of the blue. Somebody else wanted it, and they bought it for me like 7 months ago, and then out of nowhere, he messaged me, I think it was about a week and a half ago, and he goes, you remember when I bought that like 6 months ago? Take a look at this. And he showed me, he opened it to watch it. The wrong entire movie. It was a disc from some other random ass movie in there. And he's
What?
like, I know it wasn't you because it was sealed, but this is super weird. Do you think there's anything I can do? And I was like, dude, I don't know. And so I bought him a copy of the movie and sent it to him. But
Oh, that's sweet.
it,
That's happened to me once.
yeah.
It was a Warner Archive. Luckily, they still had their store at this point, and I ordered the Sea Wolf, the Jack London with Edward G. Robinson, and I opened it, and it had the Sea Hawk in it, the Errol Flynn movie. So
Oops.
I still need to get the um, they made me they wanted me to send the Sea Hawk back, and so I sent that back, so I still haven't seen it, but yeah, that
Weird.
like, I know, and, like, with Kino, I even messaged them just to see if they would sell me just the disc. I was like, "I
Right.
don't even want it for free, like, can I buy just the disc?" And they never responded. They don't really have the best,
Yeah.
communication, so
Yeah. Brendan said, "Did disc rot happen because it was sealed, or it was there anyway?" It was probably one of those things where it was just a bad batch, and it was
yeah,
going to be bad no matter what. It's not.
exactly.
It's not a regular case of disc rot, which is super rare unless you're in like the worst possible conditions. Like Spaghetti here, he's bringing up there was a time that there was a big batch of Criterion stuff that just plain
Mhm.
had defects. It was something from around like 2011,
It was like
and then
20 titles
yeah, there was a
that
lot.
yeah.
And then around, oh gosh, it was earlier. It was like 2008, I think it was. There was a batch of Lionsgate titles that have all rotted, and you just can't possibly prepare for that, of course.
Yeah. And
Uh,
I saw somebody on there earlier ask how the Royal Rumble was. It was awesome. It was great. That guy, Brian Wiltsey, that's my good friend. I was gonna get to that next. One time his brother's DVDs and he was hiding his weed in it. I'm sure I've hid money in my Largent case, the Criterion copy of Largent.
nice.
Yeah, but I would hide money in that back in the day.
Brent says, I opened a Scream Factory poster tube last week to find it empty.
Oh my god.
Yikes.
That sounds like Scream Factory, something Scream Factory
Gosh.
would do.
Yeah, but thankfully Stan's right. Those issues are usually few and far
Yep,
between.
twice in the 10 years that I've been collecting
Yeah,
Blu-rays. So,
that's
yeah.
pretty damn good in the grand scheme of things.
And
Uh,
I also wanna see, DC up here said, "Gage, you never owned any of those early Lionsgate titles?" I'm
yeah,
not sure what is.
there was a batch that were, from around 2007 or 8 that just
Okay.
all went bad, and they
Oh, no.
they all got disc rot really quickly and would never play. So, like, I think the most common one was, Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses. So, like, the first big batch of those Blu-rays, they just died, like, within a couple years, and
Mm,
none of them worked after that.
damn. I have some old WWF DVDs, like their first ones that they put out, like from 1999 and 2000s, and, 2 of those, like, the last time I tried watching them would just, like, start glitching, and I'd have to, like,
Oh,
fast forward or skip it to make it keep working. That's, like, the other than those Blu-rays, that's the only ever time I've ever had any disc issues.
damn. Well, speaking of disc issues, what have you been watching lately?
Oh, man. I've been watching a lot of stuff lately. I was you and I briefly talked about it the other day.
Yeah.
I went really hard in the beginning of the year, right in January, and was watching, like, 4 movies a week, and lately I've slowed down here, but I've watched 25 new movies to me this year, which
Jeez.
I also wanna comment earlier, I saw Josephine DeMarco talk about the movies that she just watched for the first
Yeah.
time. I always love seeing what she watches for the first time. That's, like, one of my favorite things is, like, the road of discovery that we're all on.
Yep.
Yep,
And there's
there
some
we
great
go.
titles in here. Red Eye is,
Yeah.
fantastic. Double Jeopardy is super great. Dragon Inn's a classic. I've not seen the other 2, but man, I definitely need to.
I've never seen any of those, and it's so 125, holy shit. That's
Uh,
sick.
John Peters is in the chat. I think he's up to, well over 125 already, probably.
Oh my lord, that's crazy. Yeah, I haven't really watched much lately. The last thing I watched was last Sunday, I actually watched the movie Shatas. You ever seen that?
I have not.
Okay, it was like one of those movies that everybody had, like, a bootleg DVD of, like, 15 years ago, I do remember it's like one of the Marleys is, like, the main character in it. It's like, basically, like, coming of age crime movie of, like, some young kids in Jamaica wanting to be gangsters, and then they moved to Miami and get in all sorts of trouble. It's a sick movie, and I know a lot of 135, wow. A lot of people, have always said, yeah, it's a classic, and I know it's never had a Blu-ray. I actually watched it on Prime, and forever I think when it first came out, it was like for years you could only get like bootleg versions of it, and like it came out in theaters finally in like 2006 or something like that. Some crazy story like that. So it's a Sony movie I saw when they
Hmm,
pull the titles up on Prime. I guess they own it, but like there's so many songs in it. I'm guessing that's probably why there's no Blu-ray of it.
yeah,
And then like I know the bootleg version of it had different music in it, so I'm assuming that that's why there's no Blu-ray for it. But it's a sick movie. I suggest everybody go watch that.
nice.
And I've also watched, The Zone of Interest. I was able to go see that in theaters. Awesome movie. One of the guys that I took with, he didn't like it at all, and it's kind of been a joke, but it's like, how could you not like that? Like,
Right.
it's so good, and so, like, I won't even talk to him about it because I'm like, I'm not even gonna entertain. Got to go see the Iron Claw in theaters. I've been
Nice.
working my way through the Pioneers of African American Cinema box set some more. I had my letterboxed up here just to see some more. But yeah, I watched the Penitentiary movies finally,
Oh,
which
nice.
I love.
Mafanaka, yeah.
Welcome Home, Brother Charles and MMA are so great. I
Yep,
love those movies. So I knew I was gonna like Penitentiary. I loved them because it's like wrestling. I'm a wrestling fan, so
yep,
it's like I was like the scene where Too Sweet and Half Dead are fighting in the prison cell in the first one is like
yep.
7 minutes long of just them oiled up
Oh,
wrestling
yeah.
each other. I was like, this is wrestling. And then the next movie they do it again in a shower. They're fighting. It's like
That's
insane.
perfect.
Yeah. And I guess lastly, I want to say that I watched the Todd Browning box set in January. I watched all those
Ah,
movies and watched all this. I was actually watching these special features with the author, Mr. Skull, talking about it, and then he passed away the next morning. So
wow.
It was great that I was able to watch all that. I'm happy that he was able to be a part of all the special features and everything because
Yeah.
he's great, and the whole box set was awesome.
Yeah, that box set is great, and obviously one that was sought after for years. And Freaks is going to get a lot of attention, but I really hope people that buy the box set really put the time into the Mystic as well. Um,
That was my favorite out of all of them.
that movie is
Yeah.
legendary.
I loved it. I thought it was so cool. I knew that I mean, obviously Freaks is the showcase of it,
Yeah,
and then The Unknown is a really well, received, well-known movie, but, The Mystic's the one that nobody had seen, and,
yeah,
I like any kinda, ghost stuff or, like, that kinda stuff, I love that. So, just amazing imagery, and the transfer is awesome looking. Super, foggy, all the darkness and everything. It looks awesome. Like, when they're in that room and they've got the sheet
yeah.
going around, it was so cool.
I got really lucky this week. Shelf Shock was on Sunday, and I took the entire week off, and I've been able to watch way more than I expected. Either just taking some time to relax, like on Monday and Tuesday, or while doing some other things. When you're editing all these giant files for labels, a lot of times the export can take like 45 minutes. There's nothing else to do because you can't edit anything else. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, put on a movie, why not?
Yeah.
So the last couple weeks, some big ones for me. I watched Missing from early in 2023, the follow
Okay.
up to the gosh, what was the first one called? Searching. It's
Okay.
that big, the big gimmick, I guess you can call it, is everything is supposed to be in camera or on a computer screen. Essentially, you're watching the entire movie through like video clips and
Oh, I
YouTube
remember
and
that. Yep.
security cameras and
Yep.
Ring doorbell stuff like that. And it was good. I do want to say that very much like the first movie, it kind of falters where they're trying to put too many twists in there, and
Okay.
it's we don't need twist on twist on twist on twist. Just
Sure.
write a good story, and
Yeah.
we can all appreciate that. Followed that up with let's see. I went to the theater this week. I went and saw Lisa Frankenstein.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
freaking rad. That movie is great. All neon tinged 80s flair. Really good story, superbly acted, wonderful writing, some incredible jokes. I loved the like subtle black humor in it, and I really, really can't wait to see what they do on physical media. I hope it gets a 4K because man, it is colorful as hell.
It's
Um,
universal, right?
I think so.
If it is, then it'll get one 6 months after it gets a Blu-ray, so
Well, it'll get one in the UK on release date, and then
yeah,
6 months
exactly.
later here. Let's see. After that, I watched the cinematograph release of Red Rock West. Watched that with my wife and my mom. Everybody loved it quite a bit. It's Nick Cage and Dennis Hopper. Like, how do you complain? Those
Legends.
two leading
I
a
know.
movie, it's going to be incredible. Love that movie. Then I dug into the Deaf Crocodile release of The Tune, and I gotta say, if you do not have uh, if you do not have the Deaf Crocodile release of The Tune, I highly recommend it. The fact that they have all the shorts on there, a great commentary, a really good essay from Walt Shaw, and not to mention the stuff from Bill Plimpton is just amazing. His animation is legendary. The story is funny. The music is great, and I cannot believe that it has taken us this long to get something this great from Plimpton. And so I really recommend everybody check it out. Deaf Crocodile continuing to put out legendary releases, and I adore it.
Yeah,
Um,
they're the best right now. They're
I
killing
love
it.
Deaf
Yeah.
Crocodile.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
awesome.
Then finally, I rewatched Adam Sandler's The Wedding Singer, one of the best unconventional
Oh,
romantic comedies ever. Love that movie. I watched it because I just did an episode of Culture Cast, and it was a really great time to talk to Chris. But man, that movie, if you have never seen Wedding Singer, you slept on it. One of the best romantic comedies of all time. Highly recommend. Some of the best chemistry between leads in a movie like this that you could ever possibly imagine. Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler just click. It's like they were made for each other, and it's great. Love it.
that's awesome. Yeah, I still have never seen The Wedding Singer all the way through. That's, one of those movies that I'd catch on, whatever TNT or WB or something
Yep.
like that. And it's the parts I've seen of it have been funny.
Well, it is one that gets slept on a lot. It's one of
Yeah.
Adam Sandler's films that nobody watches for some reason, and it's just so worth it. And it's got some great jokes, really good music, just a fun movie.
But is it as good as Little Nicky?
It is. I know I'm not a Little Nicky stan. I got to admit.
Like, like when I was 5 years old when that movie came out, it was my like all time favorite movie.
That checks out for a 5-year-old.
Yes, I thought it was the funniest shit ever. I watched it again like probably like 8 years ago, and I still thought it was great. I liked it.
So,
Perhaps, yes,
I got to admit, Dustin here is commenting, the Pabst joke and Lisa Frankenstein is my favorite dialogue exchange of the year so far. I heard that and was rolling in the theater. By the way, the theater was me and my mom. No one else in the theater but the two of us. And I was like obnoxiously laughing next to her after that joke. And Gage and I talked the night that I watched it, and I had to tell Gage because I heard it and I was like, this is a Gage joke and will
yeah,
incredibly sell you on this movie. So yeah,
that made me want to see it.
one of the best dialogue exchanges by far.
Yeah, that made me want to see it for sure.
Man,
Yes,
everybody's talking about Adam Sandler
Billy
now. I love
Billy Madison was also really funny.
it. Okay, so that was recent watches, pickups. Anything else that you want to update everybody on before we get into our main part of the show, sir?
Man, I can't think of anything right now. There's probably something other than the fact that I'm drinking this Road Warriors
Road
beer.
Warriors beer that Gage shared in the Discord. If you ever want to stay on top of that, check out the
Yes,
Patreon. Check out the link in the in the description below. We have a really great time in there, and especially
it's the
lately,
best.
it's been super fun to go through everything with everybody.
I look forward to it every day to like wake up and see what's been talked about. I get mad when I go in there and nothing's been said for like 2 hours. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then I'll hop in like an hour later and there'll be like 900 messages on everything. I'm like, spread it out more.
I always laugh because my wife and I are both in there, of course, and something will be happen or like we'll be we'll be discussing something with our oldest kid because he
Yeah,
did something wrong like he does sometimes, and we'll be super serious, and we're both in the Discord, so we get notifications, and it'll be silent, and both of our phones will just be blowing up during a whole conversation, and we're like, "Listen, put those away."
that's funny.
All right, it's time to try time travel.
Yes,
We
Stan.
again,
Oh, I'm
we've
sorry.
been
Stan says Peter Popoff is like a cartoon character. Yes, he is.
we've been talking about this all week, and I've been so eager to talk about some of these movies. So, 2013 was 11 years ago, and we have so many great and some big movies that came out this year. I'm curious to see if they actually end up on your list. But we are going to do a top 10. We're going to break down a couple. We're going to break down the movies a little bit, not super deep because we don't want to be here for 4 hours. But
It's your
2013,
anniversary.
exactly.
You get to spend time with the wife.
We are separated from it enough to have it be interesting to look back, but it's not like it's so close that it's hot takes galore. So
Exactly.
some of these movies have lived in our brains for a good decade because we saw them a lot. Others maybe we've only seen them once or twice, but either way, I love my list and I can't wait to see how many are on yours as well.
I know.
So again, we're gonna break down the top 10. Before we do, I'd love to hear, as you were looking back on your list, did you happen to notice like any trends from 2013? Anything that you're like, there's some
Okay.
weird patterns in some of these?
So I'm glad you asked. I'm not necessarily a pattern or so, but we briefly talked about this, and I believe I talked about this on the show last time with you, but we talked about it when we were just having one-on-one the other day, that 2014 is actually like one of my favorite years in film
Right.
ever, like of all time. I still to stand by this. It was the year I graduated high school, so I do understand that I could be skewed. That was a very important year of my life, but I do truly believe that that year of film, there's lots of good stuff from that year.
Yeah.
But when you said, 2013 is this is their anniversary, so let's do 2013. I said to you, I was like, yeah, no, that's cool. I hope I've seen enough films from them, because I told you that I had a high school girlfriend all throughout high school, so I was like,
Right.
not watching movies or doing, just being stupid. And so then 2014 we broke up, and I was able to go to the movie theater every weekend. So I saw like so much from 2014. So 2013, I'm like, man, I don't really think there's that much. And then I went back and looked. I was like, holy shit, I did see a lot in 2013. And I was like, this year, I think was like almost like a setup into 2014. Like I like
Ooh.
consider probably like that like 24 months of 2013 and 2014 is probably like the best like 24 months of like probably like the last 30 years in movies, in my opinion.
Wow.
There's like a lot of good stuff that came out in 2013 that like I think and a little bit of 2015, that like that whole time period is very special to me. And so 2013 kind of kicked a lot of it off. And like my number one movie for 2013, which I'll get into later, I actually saw it on January 1st, 2014. So it's like I saw it on New Year's Day, but it came out on Christmas 2013. So that's a little teaser for you, but that all that kind of stuff blends in right there. But I will say that that's what I kind of noticed with 2013 was that there was it was the build up to a very great period of film for me in my life.
Interesting. So, yeah, 2013 was a crazy year for me. Obviously, I got married in February, but that was just like one of the major things that happened to me that year. Not even not even a month prior, my father in California had a stroke, and it was a crazy time for my family. Had the wedding, and then about a month after the wedding, I got competing job offers in Kansas City and in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And obviously, I live in Kansas City, so we chose Kansas City. But
Good decision.
yeah.
Michigan Wolverines. That's my hot take for tonight.
Yeah, Kansas City certainly seemed to be quite a bit more appealing for us, and so we came to Kansas City. We moved here at the very end of May, and for somebody that only ever lived in California, like I'd never seen Kansas or Missouri. I moved here sight unseen. I literally never saw the place that we were moving into until I got the keys to it.
Wow.
It was a wild change. Drove here from California over a period of about 30 hours. We drove like 15 hours one day and like 10 hours the next day. And
fast, yeah.
Yeah, it was a busy time. And not only that, we drove with a dog and a bunch of ferrets, and ferrets were even legal in California. So
really?
Yeah, ferrets are fully illegal in California.
That's why. Do you know why?
I believe because they're still looked at as an invasive.
Okay. Ferrets are awesome. My uncle had ferrets, and they were so cool.
Yeah, we had, I think at that time we had 4 ferrets, and then after we came to Kansas City, we got a 5th.
Wow, he had 2. He had Joey and Zoe were their names, and they were so sweet. They smell really bad.
Oh yeah.
But he came and lived with us for like 2 months, and he bathed them every day. Like if he was getting in the shower, he'd get in the shower and bathe them and made sure that they were clean so they didn't stink up the house. But yeah, they were great pets. They were really fun.
Craig is saying, I forget, where were you living in California? So to go through the whole history just really quickly, I was born in Pomona, which is roughly like no traffic, about half an hour, for like 40 minutes from LA proper. And then after that, I grew up in Upland, which is about another 20 minutes away from LA. So about a good hour away or so. And then eventually we moved up to the high desert, and I lived in the shitty town known as Barstow. That is, when you're looking on a map, it's almost exactly halfway between LA and Vegas. So you're looking roughly about 2.5 hours total to LA. So far enough away where, you know, they don't claim us, and close enough where, hey, we can make that trip a couple times a year. Yeah, so it was a really rough area to grow up in. It was not great.
There's probably some great noir films that were set in Barstow.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of great movies set in Barstow. Like Aaron Brockovich was set just about 10 miles outside of Barstow. Obviously, you've got one of the most iconic lines ever in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas opens up with, we were just past Barstow when the drugs began to take hold.
There you go.
Yeah, so we moved out here in May of 2013, and we have been here ever since. But it was a huge culture shock coming from California here. And Greg says our little bitty new kitty was a street urchin in Barstow.
That's adorable.
Wow. Amazing. So 2013 was kind of a formidable time because I was shell shocked a little bit. It was
Mhm.
like growing into this whole new person as an adult with a
New
new wife,
chapter.
new job, new time zone to live in, new
Mhm.
everything. It was a massive, massive change. And because of that, I found solace in a lot of movies. So many of
Mhm.
these I saw in the theaters, and I don't get that opportunity as much anymore. So 2013 and 2014 are the last couple of years that the theater was like this bastion of a safe space that I could go to. And diving in this week was really fun to try to craft this list. I think I have it about in order, but man, let's get into it because
The order was
again,
hard.
I've got 17. We talked about doing a top 10. I've got 17. I think you said you had 19, right?
19. Yeah, I had 19.
All right. So after our top 10s, we'll do our honorable mentions. But man,
Okay.
I'm very curious to see how many crossover on our list.
I know. I've been interested in that because we've never really chit chatted about
Nope.
movies like that before. So when we did like about the silent films last time, you hadn't really seen a lot of silent movies.
Right.
So yeah, no, those are very interesting, and because these movies are so important to me, and now that I know that for you too, I'm interested in the crossover, and then also where we have them ranked. Some of the movies
Exactly.
I have, some movies I have ranked higher than other movies. People are gonna be like, "Yo, what's wrong with you?" But
I feel the exact same way. Honestly, I'm shocked that mine is a little more mainstream than I expected, actually.
yeah, me too. That was my thing. I was like, man, I can't put Captain Phillips on my list. And I will say, I wish I would have made a list of this earlier, but there are some really big movies from that year that I'm
Yep.
missing. And Her is the biggest one the reason why I didn't see it, I went through a giant breakup and I was too scared to watch it because of the baby. And I was like, I'll cry if I watch it. So I
I
didn't
get
watch
it.
it. And now it's been 10 years and I still haven't seen it. Yeah,
Well,
I don't
I
know what's
to,
wrong
to
with
be fair, I haven't seen Captain Phillips.
it. Okay. I mean, Captain Phillips is cool, but that was actually the last movie I voluntarily watched on DVD was Captain Phillips.
Interesting.
My grandpa was like, "Hey, I got this movie," and I was like, "All right, sure." And if he would have said that now, I'd been like, "Okay, I'll buy the Blu-ray and I'll come over with it."
All right, Gage, hit us with your top number 10, and then we'll
Okay,
jump
yeah,
into
yeah.
this.
We'll start with my number 10, and I'm gonna try to remember to tell you. Yeah, I will. But my favorite thing, because I'm not too big in reviewing movies, because like I've told you this before.
Yeah,
Who cares what I have to say about
same.
Citizen Kane? Nobody. The movie's been talking about that. To me, it's more interesting talking about your personal connection with all of
Right.
these movies. And I'm going to start with number 10 being American Hustle.
Interesting.
I saw that in theaters. I saw it at a Regal that still had the dark teal walls and maroon carpet that like from 1995. And it was like the opening night, and it was sold out crowd, and the crowd was just like so about it that it made the movie like probably even better than it was in my opinion. I have not seen the movie. We're off to a rough start. I have not seen the movie since then, and I was 17 when this came out, so I have very fond memories of it. And the main reason why I loved it so much is it made me realize how much I like um I forget her name, Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence.
She's so good in this movie, and she's so fine. She's great. She's amazing in it. So that's my number 10.
Uh, Funny enough, this is the other big one that I've not seen from 2013.
Oh, okay. Again,
Yeah.
it's a good movie, but it's not like anything crazy great or anything. But
Yeah, I don't remember what it was. Something about this era for this group, because a lot of the people in this Russell put them in like 3 movies together for many of them.
yep.
I never saw Silver Linings Playbook, so I know something
Oh,
about
Joy
it.
is the other one. I haven't seen either one. I've only seen American Hustle.
Funny enough, Joy is the only one that I watched.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah, so they just never jumped out as I needed to see it, but
Okay.
yeah. My number 10, I went with one that was pretty important to me too. I went with the third in the 3 Flavors Cornetto trilogy with The World's End.
I have not seen that. I love the other 2 movies, but I have not seen The World's End.
So, like many people, I saw this in the theater, and at first, I didn't like this all that much. I saw this and I went, "Wow, that was bizarre! What a weird way to cap off a trilogy that you've been building up to for years." And since then, I've watched this movie probably 6 or 7 times, and it has only grown in appreciation. I'm beginning to think that in my current age, I think The World's End is the best of the three films at this point.
Okay, that's awesome.
And the reason that I'm going to get there is because of how they are subversive about what you've already felt about Simon Pegg for the first two films. And in the third movie, he's grown to the point where he is the one that you are kind of hating. He is this piece of shit, and Nick Frost is the normal character. But this movie goes to great lengths to show real human interaction and empathy through these just absurd fucking situations. And Edgar Wright, again, is a magician, and how he makes you just like fall in love with this random ass beer run that these people are going on. And yet there's robots and aliens and all this other shit present in this movie. And you're just like, I mean, yeah, that's a part of it, but the friends are at the middle of this, and it's great. This movie is so underrated because it wasn't Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, and people love those so much that they just shit all over this. And this movie is great. I really recommend you watch it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's all I kind of remember about it was people just being like, it's like whatever. It's like the third Harold and Kumar movie. It's just like, yeah, I could do without it. That's all I really remember about it. And I've never seen the third Harold and Kumar movie either. But yeah, I need to watch that. And how crazy does that's 11 years old now.
It is. And by the way,
still like 4 years old.
If you've never seen a very Harold and Kumar Christmas, there's an interview with the director on my channel. Go check that out.
Oh, really? What?
Yeah. Todd Strauss-Schulson. He's the guy that directed Final Girls as well.
Okay. Yeah, I really want to watch the third. I mean, I love the first two Harold and Kumar movies. And then Stan Geezy here, it says Hot Fuzz. Or I'm sorry, it's R1133 is the one that says Hot Fuzz is his favorite of or only seen. That's my favorite of the three.
Hot Fuzz is incredible, and all three of them are great, but I really think that The World's End might actually be the best movie. Not like favorite, but I think it's the best of the three.
Okay. And Sibner says that Harold and Kumar Christmas is better than Escape from Guantanamo Bay.
By a long shot.
Really? Yeah. That's crazy, and because I just remember people not liking it. In Guantanamo Bay, it was like, I remember like throwing up laughing watching that.
So much better.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely am gonna get that. I'm pretty sure there's a Blu-ray of it too, so I'll get that this Christmas.
There is. Yeah. I think there was originally a 3D Blu-ray.
3D, yeah, I think there is. I need to get a 3D TV so I can watch it.
Well said. Terry says something about getting older makes The World's End easier to appreciate, and I think that's the reason why I appreciate it so much more.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Next on your list, number 9.
All right, my next one, I don't really have much to say about it, just that I really enjoyed this movie. This one is one I actually watched on Netflix, and it's like just randomly put it on one night. It's just one of those random horror movie Netflix nights. I put on Devil's Pass. It's also known as the Dyatlov Pass.
Oh, like the Dyatlov Pass incident.
Yes, that's the other name for it. But it's an IFC film, I believe.
I think so.
Their flip is rather pricey. Okay.
Which, by the way, they're a partner label of OCN. Who knows? That could come out through OCN.
I know. So when I saw that OCN was partnering with them, I was like, man, I really hope that gets a release, because I don't know if it. I think that movie may like have gotten like one of those like Best Buy IFC releases that was like only at Best Buy or something like that, and then was gone and became expensive, or it didn't get one at all.
Interesting.
So, yeah, no, that movie is really cool. If you haven't seen it, like as far as like,
I have not.
Okay, yeah, it's like just like when you see it, it looks like a sci-fi original style movie, and when you're watching it, kind of gives you that like kind of TV movie vibes. But it winds up doing some interesting stuff with the story towards the end of it that made it like pretty cool. So I really enjoyed that movie, and when I just saw that on. Because I was looking at the list of different 2013 movies, I was like, you know what? I really enjoyed that movie. And I only watched that probably like 4 years ago. I think I watched that like right before COVID. So
nice.
But yeah, that was a really good movie.
I think we're about to see that the first 4, neither one of us had seen each other's picks. Okay. My number 9 is super like underseen, especially in the US. I'm going to go with a movie that I just watched I think last year for the first time, and I think I even did a review on the. Oh yeah, I did a review on the channel because Ice, a friend of the channel, he bought me the Blu-ray and said you got to review it. I did New World. This is a movie from I believe South Korea, and it's a crime film directed by Park Hoon Jung that is really great. It's going to come across kind of like The Departed a little bit, with somebody going undercover playing a bad guy when they're actually a cop, and then there's twists involved in that, and the way that they go in and out through some of the storylines. And I know that sounds weird, but if you watch it you'll understand. Like they'll zoom in on a portion of somebody's life, and then you'll realize later that there was other things affecting the things that you didn't know that was happening in that scene that you find out later. It's a great modern gangster flick. It really highlights like the patriarchal version of like the chain of command of the gangsters, of who's going to take over if somebody dies. And it's really just super well directed. It could have been very convoluted because it's a pretty complex story, and it comes across just as a very straight-laced, crazy great action gangster flick. There's a couple scenes particular. There is this crazy fight in a parking garage that is insanity. It just turns into like this all-out brawl for about a minute and a half, and it's insane. Like you can rewatch it about 10 different times and zoom in on a different portion of the screen and appreciate a different part of these fights. It's amazing. And it leads into them fighting in an elevator. And it's just, either way, if you've never seen this, Well Go USA put out a Blu-ray. It's a really good looking Blu-ray. Highly recommend checking it out. This movie is great. Again, if you've probably never heard of it, it's called New World. It's fantastic.
That does sound great. And again, like I was saying with Penitentiary earlier, that sounds like wrestling. So I'm all about it. That's like any movies that are like Bloodsport, like any of the movies that are just like very similar to like just what professional wrestling is, I'm instantly drawn to it. So like this whole huge brawl thing with
it's so much fun.
There are different things to look at. It definitely has me interested in that. That sounds really exciting. I think I remember you guys talking about that. Ice was the guy that used to do the premium. We talked about the premiums with you.
That was Fanatical Dragon. I've done a couple of videos with him.
Okay.
Yeah, Ice. I think Ice did a video with me and Flip a couple years ago, but that's it.
Okay, because when you were kind of explaining it to me, I was like, man, I think maybe I've heard them talk about this before. So maybe I've seen that review that you did. I don't know.
Yeah, could be. Last year I talked about it a lot because it blew me away when I first saw it.
Yeah, I definitely want to check that out. Cool.
All right. Number 8, sir.
Okay, for me, 8 is something that I did not see in theaters, and I saw it probably illegally when I won't say that loud, but when I used to do video for the Jacksonville Sharks, which is the arena football team here in town, and the guy that was the director of multimedia there, who was my direct boss that I worked with, because I did video editing and I shot the games and I did stuff for the Jumbotron and stuff, and I did pretty much everything video related with them. And he would just always have a TV on playing The Office during the week, but then on game day he would have on Draft Day, the Kevin Costner movie, or Moneyball, where his like legit we would watch him 4 times because we'd be in there all day. So, but one day he put on the movie Rush, which is my 8th time. That movie is so cool. And he actually did 2 movies. This is not a 2013 movie, but he also put on Flight one time, and I was shocked with how much I liked Flight, the Denzel Washington movie.
Yeah.
But Rush he put on, and I remember seeing the trailers and stuff for it and be like, yeah, whatever, cool. But actually, so I would have probably never watched that movie, but sitting down and having it playing in the office, I was like, oh my God, this is actually really good. Both amazing acting jobs by the 2 leads, and just amazing, like, car stuff. Like, I'm not even a car guy, but like the racing in it's awesome. The story's like just fast paced and just kind of like, I don't know, it just shocked me. It was way better than I thought it was going to be. And one of my favorite movies from that year.
I'm not a car person either, so I never wanted to see this, so I have not. Is this the Chris Hemsworth movie?
Yep. And what I think Brule, what's his name? The guy from like Inglourious Bastards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the German guy. He plays the Nicky Lauda. I don't know if you're familiar with the racers.
No.
They were like, it's based on a true story of Formula One racers that were Daniel Rule. Yeah, directed by Ron Howard. But it's based on a real story of these two guys that had a competition or a rivalry, in the earlier days. I think like the 80s
Huh.
of racing of the Formula One racing, and it's just a crazy story. There's crazy wreck that plays a huge part in the movie. It's really sick. But yeah, Daniel Bruhl in it he does a great job in it.
Nice. Yeah, I've not checked it out, and the way you describe it, I would not be against it.
Yeah, definitely do, because like I said, like was not on my like watch list at all, and then saw it and was shocked. So
I think I'm going to end our little streak that we got going of not seeing each other's movies, because I'm going with like one of the most mainstream movies on my list here. I have to give a nod to The Conjuring.
I've never seen it.
Whoa!
Yeah,
It continues. Amazing.
that is
So it's wild that this is, it. Let me see. What's the best way to say this? Like, obviously, this is an incredibly mainstream horror movie. It is like the way that you would describe the most average cliche of modern horror movies, but this kind of started all of that.
Yes.
Well, I guess this and Insidious kind of did together, but
Yeah.
this movie is shockingly good when you go back and rewatch it. The horror is actually well done. There's like 3 or 4 really good, long-lasting scares, but also just shout out to this entire cast being great in this. I mean, everybody that's in this, Patrick Wilson, like living in this character and just being incredible. Vera Farmiga being astonishing as his partner. Ron Livingston playing interesting part in this. All of like the kid actors do really well. It sets up obviously this weird Conjuring universe that we have now, and it wouldn't have been able to do that if it didn't work for so many millions of people. This movie is actually really well shot, and it's because it's like this interesting period piece. It gives you this weird feeling when you walk away of like you transported into something completely different, and it was so well designed. Like the production design for it is actually super well thought out, and it's because of that. If you've never seen The Conjuring, you probably should. It's again very cliche, and now it might be a little weird to go back and watch it for the first time, but it's just great. It's just a really great horror movie.
Well, what's even more fucked up is that I've seen The Conjuring 2 in theaters, and I saw I saw Annabelle Creation in theaters.
Wow.
Yeah, which is very funny to think about. And then I have not seen it. This is just because the girl I was with wanted to see him. And so I was like, all right, whatever, we'll go see him. But I believe it's The Conjuring 2 is the one that takes place in the like English flat.
The second one is, yes.
Yeah, that's that one with the old guy and all the crosses on the walls. Upside down. Yeah, I saw that one in theaters.
Yeah, and again, that one's pretty good. It's just not quite as good as the first one.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
The third one is pretty bad.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Annabelle Creation was pretty good though.
I dug Annabelle Creation too. I love the whole like the out that house like all the way out in
the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere, the school bus, like all that stuff. Like all that it hits all the boxes I like in the horror movies. So
and again, the first Annabelle movie, garbage, hot garbage. So you started with the good one. Sibner says Patrick Wilson, one of the nicest guys ever. He was shooting a low budget film with him. Sibner was shooting a low budget film with him on Sibner's birthday, and he sang to him.
What song did he sing to you?
I'm assuming "Happy Birthday."
Sing you the Marilyn Monroe Sibner version. No, how was that? That's awesome.
Well, and also Patrick Wilson, like ballsy enough to put out Insidious. What was the last one? Was it 5 or whatever? And at the very end, he puts out like he is the director of Insidious 5, and then ends the movie with the credits of him playing a song with his own rock band. Like that's ballsy. Patrick Wilson is great.
I've never seen the Insidious movies either.
Wow,
I know
they're pretty good. They're pretty good.
Yeah, I got to check those out. And also, I considered what's the Cabin in the Woods. I consider that like kind of that start of this new era of horror.
Yeah.
That's another
Speaking
one.
of Chris Hemsworth, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, number 7.
Oh, it's back on mine. Okay, so this is the one that people are gonna laugh at stuff that I have in front of this one, probably.
Nobody's gonna laugh. Come on.
But no, I'm just saying, just because of the subject matter of this film is so serious. But is 12 Years a Slave. This movie is fucking amazing. It should be the number one, just like from the filmmaking merit alone. Absolutely amazing acting job by everybody in the movie. It's an art film that broke into the mainstream, and like, have you seen it?
I saw it once, and this is the thing. I debated this earlier because I really need to see it again. I haven't seen it since 2013, and I just don't remember enough about it.
Yeah, there's like a scene in it that where he's like being hung, but not necessarily like high, like just enough to like be annoying to him, where his like feet are kind of like on the ground, and they like sit on it for a very long time, and it's such an effective scene that I still think about it all the time. It's so crazy. You're talking about ballsy to do something like that in a film that was, you know, a huge mainstream film that year. It's crazy that we got this film with the cast that we have, and it is nuts. And that year in 2013, I still have not seen 12 Years. It is very unnerving, and it's shot in a way. The scene. Are you familiar with the story? You've seen it. So yeah. So have you ever seen the Solomon Northup's Odyssey? I think is what it's called.
I don't think so.
Yes, Playhouse. So that was like another thing that we watched in school. So I saw that, I want to say, my freshman year or sophomore year of high school. And so this came out in 2013. So like I want to say it came out my senior year, maybe like tail end of my junior year. Hard to watch, yeah, for sure. Totally different films. Yeah. I mean, he's a auteur, like he has his own unique style, his filmmaking style, his authorship. Like, you know, you're watching one of his movies when you're watching it. So the story, I was super familiar with the story going into it. We had to watch it in our American history class. And so I was like super excited to go see this, and I missed it in theaters, and I bought it at Movie Stop. Oh, I have it here. I forgot.
Nice.
Pull out. Yes. So I have it with the slipcover. How cool is that? But I got this and watched it on my TV and fell in love with it. And it's an amazing movie. I think more people should see it. It's not talked about as much as you would think. At the time it was talked about so much. There's another film that I don't have on my list that at the time was talked about so much, and I'm surprised how little it's talked about now. I'll wait until after we go through everything to see if you have it on yours. But yeah, 12 Years a Slave is amazing. I definitely suggest anybody watch it that haven't seen it.
Yeah, I need to rewatch this one, and I will agree. It seems odd because the year and a half after this released, this movie was everywhere. This was on.
It was so huge, right?
Everybody talked about this movie nonstop, and then after that, everybody said, "You know what? Like, that was too hard to watch. We're not even going to remember that it exists."
and I wanted to say that something else. Somebody said earlier that it was like unnerving. The scene where he gets like tricked into becoming. Where he gets tricked to become a slave. It's so, the way that it's shot is so fucking like eerie and creepy. And one of the guys that plays the guy is like, I want to say he's like one of the guys from like Wild 'N Out. He's like one of the white guys from Wild 'N Out or something like that. He's like, I can't remember what he is, but he's like known for doing like comedy or something. And it shouldn't work, but it does. And he kind of just like plays one of those guys. And when you go to think back about it, it's like really scary. Like in a Joel Osteen kind of way. It's just very like, unnerving. That's a great word.
Oh man, perfect. I love the whiplash that we're going to get from talking about 12 Years a Slave to this next title.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Some of the movies I have in front of 12 Years a Slave is like, come on.
So my number 7 is one that I'm going to say some controversial things because so many people hold other things related to this so dearly. But I have to admit, Evil Dead 2013 is my favorite of the Evil Dead franchise. Over the first one, over Evil Dead 2, far over Army of Darkness, even Evil Dead Rise. I liked it enough, but Evil Dead 2013 is still number one for me. I think it's something about it. It just made it that much more harrowing for me. The movie is bloody as hell. It's got different story, not necessarily storylines, but it's got like different plot points that are so important to grounding it in a semblance of reality that it just hit home for me even more so than some of the others. And like, I love the comedy in Evil Dead 2, we all do, but something about watching this one from Evil Dead 2013, I enjoy it more than the others. It is easily the one that I've wanted to rewatch more than the others. That being said, I still love the others. I'm not saying any of those are bad. It's just this one, for some reason, is a personal attachment for favorite out of the five that we have so far. I think the acting is incredible in this. I think the creepy makeup is super well done. I mean, it literally fucking rains blood in this movie. Like, that's really damn cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Again, I love this movie. If you have not checked it out, the 4K that Scream Factory put out looks pretty damn good.
Oh hell yeah! I have not. This is another one. I still have not seen any of your movies.
Damn. And the next one, I already know you haven't seen it, so we're doing pretty well.
Oh damn! Okay, damn, that's crazy. Yeah, no, I've only have ever seen the original Evil Dead and Army of Darkness. I've seen most of Evil Dead 2 on TV through the years, so like I kind of count that I've seen that before, but I've not seen the 2013 or Rises. I really want to get Evil Dead Rises too. Yeah,
Evil Dead Rise is fun. It's, in my opinion, it's the worst of the five, but it's not. Again, it's not bad. It's just. I don't know. I heard
lots of people saying that the opening title scene's awesome.
Oh, it may be the best opening title reveal in the last 20 years, literally.
That's my favorite. I love opening titles, so like that makes me want to watch it more than anything.
It is so well done.
Okay. I'm about that.
Okay, we are on to your number 6.
Deaf Crocodile, same. So Army Darkness was the first one I watched as well. Okay.
Yeah.
My number 6 now. This is the last one I don't have a disc for. Nice. And it is The Place Beyond the Pines.
Okay.
That movie, I rented it on Redbox. This is how I saw it back in the Redbox days. And that was a movie that I watched with my dad. And so like any movie I watch with my dad, I'll forever have that connection, make me love it, you know. He's a huge motorcycle guy, and so he was super interested in the, you know, Ryan Gosling's character with the bike. And now when I think about that movie, it transports me back to that time in my life, that senior year of high school. There's a Salem track in that movie that's like used at the house party, which is like just like such a crazy like underground hip hop song that like nobody knows. Like, it's crazy that it's in that movie. And Mahershala Ali's in it, kills it. I like Ryan Gosling's. That was like his hot streak right there, where he did Drive, Place Beyond the Pines, Only God Forgives, like killing it right there. Yeah, no, that movie's awesome. I love the whole beginning of the movie more than anything. Just the Ryan Gosling story about I think it's the opening scene is where he's on where he's on the bike riding around like the circle of death thing. Like, just there's lots of great shots in it, and more so than anything, it's that connection that I have to it in that time period of my life is just like, it'll forever be in my top favorite movies from that year.
This is such a weird one for me because this is a movie I've almost watched like 6 times. I've seen the opening, I think 4 out of those 6 times, and then other 2 times we've like planned to watch it and something has come up. But something about this movie just has not been able to work out yet. It looks good, and Gosling was incredible around this time. I mean, not that he's terrible now or anything.
Yeah, he's always great. Yeah,
right.
His there's a chase scene in it too, where he's being chased by the cops on the bike. Awesome. This is one of my favorite chase scenes. It's fire.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely get to that one soon. I like that a lot. I see Sibner says he can't get behind it. People love it. It's just not for me. Yeah, it's cool. I could definitely see where people don't like it. A lot of these films, like that we're talking about, I could see easily where people don't like them.
For sure.
They've
And
kind
even
of like dated in a way, right? Like you
yeah,
were saying earlier, like it's kind of, we're getting to that point now where it's far enough away to where like they're like not that they're not respected, but like at one point these movies were so respected, but now they're almost just forgot about.
yeah.
So
I definitely want to check this one out. And beyond that, the Gosling has made so many interesting choices that I could see people hating a lot of the movies that he's done. So
yeah, true.
All right, number 6. I mentioned. I know that you've not seen this one. I had to have her on my list.
Okay. Yeah.
This
I would
movie
imagine
is
it would be on mine.
This movie is a spectacle. Spike
Yeah.
Jonze directs the ever living hell out of this movie.
Oh,
When you hear the concept for this movie, you don't think it's going to work, and then somehow it is sold so beautifully because it's directed so perfectly. But beyond that, Joaquin Phoenix is a masterclass of acting in this movie. He delivers emotions and this weird companionship that you don't think somebody could deliver on screen, and he's beautiful in this. Beyond that, the supporting characters are really well done, but just the fact that you are given this new near future world and this what is really odd about this is 11 years ago this was like a far out there movie, and nowadays like we're talking about AI companions and shit like that. So this is such a weird time to reassess this movie. And if you have never checked it out, like Joaquin Phoenix has been a gift to film for decades, clearly. But this is like one of the prestige films that he's done. And he is so he is so authentic in this, which he has always want to do in every single one of his roles. But again, Spike Jonze is probably the main gift behind this, because without the good directing, this movie would not have worked at all.
Yeah. I love being John Malkovich. I love Jackass. I love all of his music videos. I mean, he really is super talented, and I believe Arcade Fire does a couple tracks for the movie, correct?
I think so. For me, Arcade Fire's never been super well respected.
I love Arcade Fire.
I love it. That people love it, but never been one. I
understand why people wouldn't like that.
I get it. All right, we're in top 5 territory, sir.
That's crazy. That is super crazy. And I also wanted to comment at Sibner saying Gosling's been killing it since Young Hercules. Is that before Say Cheese and Die Goosebumps episode, or is that he's been killing it since that for sure? I know that.
Yeah, Gosling's always pretty great. And Stan, you're right. I probably should mention Scarlett Johansson delivering a voice performance in that movie that is, it's the entire movie, literally. She is the movie.
Okay. Yeah. Isn't there a few pretty big actresses that that are voices in it, right?
There's I think Bill Hader plays a voice actor.
Is one like Rooney Mara one of the?
Rooney Mara is actually in the movie, not just a voice. Okay. And then Chris Pratt is in the movie. Okay. I think with Bill Hader, I think Kristen Wiig is the other voice.
Oh, okay, nice.
Something like that. And then Amy Adams is also in the movie. So nice. Really great movie.
Yeah, that's been high up on my watch list since the day it came out. So now we're going on to top 4 here. Now,
top 5. Your number 5 first.
Element number 5.
Yeah.
I just skipped over number 6 is what I did. No.
Okay, so the last one was number 6.
Was my number 5. I'm going to go to number 6. I can't believe I skipped this one. It's a documentary that I saw on Netflix back when it came out. It is The Act of Killing.
Okay, this is a good pick. Yeah.
Yes, that movie is so fucking nuts. And I got a few of my friends to watch it last year, and they texted me. It was the first movie they watched last year for 2023. They were like, "What the fuck was that?"
Way to start the year off.
Yeah, it was super dark, super fucking hardcore. That's if you think 12 Years a Slave is unnerving and hard to watch, The Act of Killing is pretty awful. Yeah. Stan Geezy said The Act of Killing is so disturbing. It's almost so disturbing that it doesn't feel real.
Right.
It's almost hard for your brain to comprehend what you're watching.
Yep.
It's like so bizarre. I don't want to really speak too much about it for people that haven't seen it, because I think that that's part of what makes it, because it's a documentary, you kind of want to learn about what's happening in the movie, but it's quite amazing, and it's pretty accessible too. I'm pretty sure that it's on like most streaming services and stuff like that. It's been around for so long. And I believe the filmmakers kind of did like another similar film there afterwards, and I have not seen that.
I think so. I think I remember reading about that.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd kind of like shut that movie out of my brain for a little bit, and when I kept seeing it on my list of 2013 films, I was like, yeah, that's definitely going to be on there. But I would like to see that get a nice release from somewhere. I don't know if that's ever had a Blu-ray or 4K release or anything.
I feel like it did have a Blu-ray release.
It does. Probably just like a studio release or something. I would like to see Criterion or somebody get a hold of that and put out a really nice disc.
The Act of Killing came out through Draft House Films, actually.
Oh, wow. No way. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and some of that stuff is coming out now through other companies.
Yep.
So maybe that will happen. I'll just throw this in here. And I saw this in theaters in 2013, or maybe it was 2014, probably 2013, but the Draft House of Roar. Did you ever see that?
Roar is wild.
Bro. Holy shit. I watched the trailer for it like a couple months ago and started crying. I was like, that was like one of the best theater experiences I've ever had in my life. That movie's nuts too. I hope more of the Draft House stuff comes out soon.
Now that we're talking about it, I feel like a lot of Draft House movies were 2013 films, because that was the year that Draft House really leaned into physical media. They did The Congress, I think, came out that year.
Okay.
There is A Field in England was that year, and they also did that one. There's a few others.
England. Yeah, that's 2013 too, I believe, right?
Yeah.
That they were the Sunray here in town. They were showing a lot of those Draft House movies.
There you go.
Catch a lot of those in theaters that year.
There you go. All right, so my number 5. This is one that when I was making the list, I thought this was going to be 1 or 2, and then I realized everything else that came out this year, and not that it's bad. Like, we're at the thing where I think the first, the rest of my list are all like 100% masterpieces, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Just hard to rank these for sure. Number 5 is with an attachment to my last pick, Scarlett Johansson in Under the Skin.
I've not seen it, and it's my friend that likes Primer. This is like another one of his favorite movies.
You have not seen a single one of my movies yet. That's astonishing.
Yeah, that is crazy.
So Under the Skin, the biggest thing right now that we should probably mention is it's directed by the exact same person that we talked about at the beginning of the show, because it's directed by Jonathan Glazer, which we just talked about, a giant 2020
film, right?
Yeah. Because he's only done
like 4. He did what?
4, 5? Sexy Beast was the big one,
and then he did that other one in like 2005 with Nicole Kidman.
Birth, 2004.
2004, yeah.
And then of course,
I've never seen any of those. Yeah, Jonathan Glazer's first movie I saw was Virtual Insanity music video.
Nice. And then Zone of Interest. Not to tiptoe around that too much, but that all of these are incredible. But Under the Skin is wild. For those that have never seen it, Scarlett Johansson plays an alien, basically, that comes in to attract people as she portrays a character that is beautiful, as she's like the perfect one to do this. And it's just a mysterious woman that is there to seduce lonely men that are, some of them looking for sex work, whatever. And there is just so much that I can't say because it would ruin the entire movie. It's just
yes, please don't.
It is a wild movie to go into it not knowing anything. So please watch Under the Skin. Scarlett Johansson is brilliant in this, and it's a very subtle movie. It's one that you could easily watch and get lost in and not walk out of fully understanding or fully loving. but just it's one of those things that will get under your skin, pardon the pun, but it will stick with you for weeks after. This movie is so crazily well made. Like it is I think some of it was shot on the streets wherever they
Oh,
shot it in Europe, and it was done in a way that was just let's walk around with the camera and do some beautiful stuff. And Jonathan Glazer is an incredible director. Definitely need to check it out.
hell yeah. Yeah, no, that's definitely super high on my. Oh,
See ya, Craig.
yes, sir. See ya. Thank you for hanging out for so late. I appreciate it.
Oh, there you go. Sibner says a lot of this was shot guerrilla style with Scarlett Johansson just driving around in a van.
Hell yeah.
Interesting. And look at that. Couch says Under the Skin is an easy number one. Interesting.
Yeah, no, I would say that that's probably the second highest on my watch list after her from 2013.
Yeah, Stan says many of the actors were not professionals. I think most of the actors were not professionals.
Oh, I like that. I love non-actors. I love the use of non-actors in films. L'Argent that I was talking to you about earlier.
Yeah.
That movie has a whole bunch of non-actors in it.
Nice.
That's an awesome movie.
Some of the guys she picked up in the van, not actors, she actually just picked them up. That's crazy.
That's scary.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for somebody like Scarlett Johansson, it's especially
Scarlett Johansson picks me up off the street.
Ruben is saying, I'm wanting to watch this. Where can I stream it? It is currently on HBO Max. And if you have access to Canopy, it's also on Canopy.
Hell yeah.
All right. I believe I can almost guarantee you've seen the next one. So we're getting into that realm.
I guarantee you've seen all 4 of the next 4. Most people probably have. They're all huge movies.
All right. Number 4, sir.
For me, now this one, again, it's terrible. I might catch flack for it. And it's hard to talk about with people, but blue is the warmest color.
Oh, okay.
This movie, because of all the stuff that's went down behind the scenes afterwards, like director being canceled and he's a dirtbag or whatever. So it's hard to talk about the movie now and not talk about that. But especially because the performances in this movie are so amazing. And now we know that maybe it was forced out of them in a way that shouldn't have been. So it's hard to talk about, any of that, especially with how much sexuality is used in this movie.
Yeah.
You see penis in it, which is nice. Not very often that you that you don't see dick in movies. So it's cool that there's some dick in this movie. But I watched it at I think I started it at 2 a.m. one night and didn't realize that it was a 3-hour movie. And I got about halfway through it and I was like, how long is this thing? And I picked up the case and I was like, oh man, that was back in the day when I didn't have to think about every movie that I watched.
Right.
All right, what time is it? What is it? I could just stay up till 5 a.m. watching movies. And it kept me up and was just so amazing. And it's so heartbreaking and it's so emotional. It's absolutely, is there lots of penis and under the skin too? Shit. Okay, I gotta get that.
Lots of penis and under the skin.
Yeah. No, it's a absolutely amazing movie, and it's a shame that we'll never get a follow up to it. Especially the way that it ends. It's absolutely amazing movie. So
Stan says, I've not seen this film and I know nothing about it. So for anybody that's never seen it, it is a very sexual film that is based around just the deep emotions of desire and loss all together. There's so much that happens in this. It is literally just about those journeys of discovering love and yourself in love.
And at the time period, which now people don't speak this way because it's stupid to, I don't know, to even talk about stuff this way. But when it came out, it was praised for its depiction of a lesbian relationship.
Right.
People were saying it's the most accurate representation of a lesbian relationship, which now when you say that, especially because how sexual the movie is, a man saying this is the most accurate description, but it does, but at that time period, that's how people were talking about this movie, and it was super highly regarded for a long
Right.
time. And it's another one of those movies that's just kind of not talked about anymore, especially after everything that happened with the director. But
And Stan is
do
asking, what's the deal with the director?
does he know it? And he just wants me to say it?
No, he didn't know
Oh,
anything
okay.
about the movie, so he knows nothing.
I mean, from what I've read very briefly, I don't tend to get super deep into any of this stuff because, I mean, none of us were there.
Right.
But that he may have, been a little too egregious with retakes and forced them to work like super long overtime, where he was basically like keeping them naked for a very long period of time and making them do love scenes over and over and over and over and over. And
yeah.
was apparently really mean to them and yelled and all sorts of negative stuff.
And Ronnie says, as a lesbian, it was clear to me that this was directed by a straight man. I did not care for it.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly. So that's what's funny is that like at that time period, people being like, "Oh, this is such a clear description, or the most faithful depiction of a lesbian thing." And then now that we know all this stuff about it, it's like I don't know about that. It's like pretty. It's just as a very sexy movie. So
right.
like to say that's a true depiction is like very funny to say that now. It's kind of silly. But yeah, I mean, it's really just a depiction of a younger person experiencing what they believe to be true love for the first time and what happens. So
right.
Mostly by straight viewers. Yes, that is true.
Absolutely.
AKA the white dude that worked at the Barnes and Noble that told me that.
Okay.
Probably definitely had never had sex before. I don't know.
Have a good night, Paul. See you, sir. Moving on to my number 4. This is a movie, speaking of the canceled director, because everybody hated him. This is a movie where everybody hates most of the characters in this movie. And
Yes.
I think that's why this movie is really complex and much more than I expected. But my number 4 is Wolf of Wall Street.
Nice.
This is a Scorsese flick, which stars Leonardo DiCaprio, of course, playing Jordan Belfort, I think is his last name.
Belfort. Yeah,
and he is somebody that was a piece of shit and made a shit ton of money and made a lot of bad decisions. And you basically just see him spiraling for 3 hours. And this movie is really well acted. And again, a lot of people walked out of this hating it because nobody in this movie is likable. You walk out of this going like, there's no hero. And yeah, you're right. The story is basically telling you some people just plain fucking suck. It's not, it's not a movie that you go into looking for role models in any way. You get a weird performance out of Jonah Hill. You get a super short performance out of Matthew McConaughey. That's iconic now. You get some iconic scenes, speaking of nudity with Margot Robbie. And really, it's just directed superbly by Martin Scorsese. And again, banger soundtrack. This is a really great needle drop soundtrack, like always from Scorsese. But also, it's truly just one of DiCaprio's best performances. It is him living in a character that is truly heinous in every single scene. But the funny thing is, he's so heinous. He's just having a blast being evil, and DiCaprio owns it in every single scene.
Yeah. What do we do if there's crossover now? Because this is also in my top 3.
It's up to you. You can mention it now, or you can wait till it's in that spot.
I mean, we can just talk about it now. This was my number 1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this was my number 1. This is the movie that I was saying came out on Christmas Day, but I saw it on January 1st. This is the Arrow 4K.
Beautiful
so
release.
I had to get it because it's one of my. It was my favorite movie of all time for a long period. Now I don't have a favorite movie of all time. That's what I always say. But I do not have this open because I have the Blu-ray and I just haven't watched it yet since I've got this one. But yeah, when it came out, I actually didn't realize that. I knew it was a Martin Scorsese movie and I knew it'd be like crazy, but I didn't realize like the level that it would take it.
Oh, he went for it. Yeah,
he went for it. So I went and oh yeah, there's some dick in this movie too, I guess. For a quick second, you see some Jonah Hill cop.
Oh, that's
I don't
right.
know, it could be prosthetic, but
It's
it's okay.
probably a stand-in
But
penis.
most of it probably is. So, which I think if blue is the warmest color, use prosthetics too. I think they've talked about that. But when I went and saw this, my dad's boss, he had told me that he had went and saw it on Christmas Day with his family, and they left 5 minutes in, and I was like, oh, he must have just not liked it. I didn't know why they left, but then now, after watching the first 5 minutes of that movie, I was like, oh yeah, that's a funny movie for the family to go see on Christmas. Go, yeah, exactly, and that sells me on everything. But yeah, it's probably the shortest 3-hour movie of all time. Like,
oh yeah,
like it goes by in like an hour. It's paced phenomenally.
Yep.
Like you said, Matthew McConaughey's performance is iconic in it now.
Who wasn't even supposed to be in the movie? He just he was hanging out basically, and he was like, "Hey, I could do this."
Yeah, and that was part of the Matthew McConaughey renaissance of movies right there.
Absolutely.
Kyle Chandler is amazing in it. Like everybody, like this, the all-star cast it's so fire, and Spike Jonze is in the movie too. It's just like absolutely amazing. Everything about it is so great. I'm not gonna echo everything you just said, but dittoed all that. And then I watched the movie with my mom, which was funny because like
nice.
Like I said, her and I had watched shit growing up together. Like I don't want to say grown up together. She's not like close in age with me or anything, but we watched whatever. And to me, it's never been like a thing. And I remember telling my friends, I was like, yeah, I showed my mom Wolf of Wall Street last night. And they're like, what's wrong with you, bro? And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, the movie's so fucked up. You don't show your mom that kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't care.
And yet, what was that like 6 weeks ago? I told everybody in here, yeah, I just showed my mom and my wife kids last night.
That's me. Like it's a movie, man. Come
right. And I mean, so much of it's kids is so realistic. People just live that life. We've all gone through shit like a lot of that.
Exactly. That's like shit that kids that I hung out with. It was very similar to that.
Right.
That time period too, 2013, 2012. I think I first saw kids in 2010, 2011. That time period was very similar to the way those kids behave in that movie and speak. I don't think that a lot of the kids are like that now in that same direct way. They're worse in different ways. You know what I mean? But like, it's just like butterscotch baby. I mean, it's insane. But yeah.
Well, since we got your number one, maybe we'll skip to my number three before your number three. That way we can still alternate a little bit.
Okay.
This one, I have a feeling you did not watch, but I feel like maybe you did because it feels like a very Florida movie. My number three is probably one of the super indie movies on here, which I love that it's up so high on this list. Jeremy Saulnier's Blue Ruin. Have you seen Blue Ruin?
No, I haven't.
All right, so Blue Ruin was directed by the same guy that did Green Room, and Blue Ruin.
Green Room either.
Oh, good God, Gage. Blue Ruin is a story about revenge that is unnecessary and over the top, but because of that, it is beyond necessary. And this movie is just a gut punch and sweaty, and it is just such a real life situation that Macon Blair delivers a performance that everybody needs to see to believe. This guy, he played a much smaller part in Green Room, and he's been, I believe, in all of Jeremy Saulnier's stuff, but this movie in particular is harrowing and real. And one of the things about it that I love is that it's full of like mistakes. Like if somebody's running, they're not going to run and not trip. They're not going to not get tired. They're not going to be exhausted to the point where they can't do something. It is just this real life. I can't even say action, but there's like some action heavy scenes, but it's just a harrowing revenge story that everybody needs to see. This movie is astonishing. And Green Room is his best by far, but it didn't come out in 2013. But Blue Ruin is an underseen movie that is not quite as popular because A24 didn't do Blue Ruin, and this movie is a like a masterpiece of indie filmmaking. I think it is a great movie.
Hell yeah! And you said it's Floridian.
It feels very Floridian. I don't know. I don't think it's set in Florida, but it's got like that humid, swampy feeling of everybody here is just miserable walking outside, and it makes them ticked off, and so they're already on edge because everything sucks.
Okay. Yeah. No. That ticks all the boxes for me. I like that. I'll have that on my watch list too. There's Blu-ray of that.
Yeah, there definitely is a Blu-ray of that. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Heck yeah.
I don't remember who put it out. It was definitely not A24 though, but
okay. Yeah, I probably have that on my watch list. I think that's on my watch list already, but it's on my mental watch list now.
So Blue Ruin got one of those old Anchor Bay Stars Blu-ray releases.
Wow.
It's probably out of print now.
Yeah, it probably is. Yep.
But yeah, Macon Blair in this is just pitch perfect acting.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Stan Geezy says that too. Macon Blair is pitch perfect.
Perfect timing. Thank you, Stan. Great minds.
I thought it was the Deep South.
Okay, so yeah, it couldn't have been that far off. Something like that.
Well, see, where I live in Jacksonville, that's more the Deep South than people think of than Florida. Right. Jacksonville's kind of deep. It's kind of South Georgia.
South Georgia.
Miami is not the Deep South. Tampa and Orlando is not the Deep South, but Jacksonville still is kind of Deep Southy. We're still kind of
right
South Georgia-y. We're more South Georgia than we are Miami.
All right, sir. What is your number 3?
Okay, so my number 3 is very Floridian. And earlier, I think it was Sibner that said it was one of the first A24 movies. This is one of the first A24 movies too, and I saw it in theaters.
Nice.
And that is Spring Breakers. This movie, so obviously,
speaking of Harmony Korine.
Yep, I saw Kids in Gummo in high school, and so the fact that this guy had a new movie coming out, I was like, let's fucking go. Like, I'm so super excited for this. And it's like one of the characters is playing a character that's kind of like Riff Raff in it, and Gucci Mane's in it, and Vanessa Hudgens and Selena Gomez. And there's a cameo by Jeff Jarrett, the wrestler, who plays like a preacher.
It's such a Harmony movie.
It's so crazy. Yeah. It's very Floridian in it. I think a lot of it takes place in Daytona, which is like known to be like the trashiest like spring break location.
Trashy party beach.
Yeah, that's like, you know who goes to spring break in Daytona? Is people that live in Daytona. That's the only people that go there. Yeah, Double J does rule. He's the shit. But yeah, look at my shit. That's my favorite. And then immediately after watching this movie, I went and bought some Zubaz shorts because he's wearing some in that scene. I had some red and black Zubaz shorts that I wore, and that was my high school's colors, so I would wear them to school too.
Nice.
But yeah, this movie, I saw it in theaters with my girl that I was seeing in high school at the time, and she actually bought me this Blu-ray for Christmas that year.
Very nice.
Yeah, and which is great because it's an old A24 slipcover. That
slip is hard to find nowadays.
Yeah, hard to find, and I was very lucky. She got this from me at Movie Stop, which
nice.
RIP to Movie Stop. But yeah, no, I was surprised that like she dug it too because it's such a bizarre out there movie. You know, it's not for everybody. But yeah, this is one I've probably rewatched this more than most movies in the past 10 years. It's probably the movie I've rewatched the most just because so many people are interested in it, you know.
Right.
They're like, oh, isn't that weird movie that had like the Disney girls in it? And so, oh, yeah, let's check it out. So like I've watched it probably like 5 or 6 times. And this is another movie with like crazy needle drops in it. And
yep,
like of that time period, it's crazy to go back and listen to it now because it opens with the Skrillex song and then ends with the Ellie Goulding. And it's like, man, this is like such a time capsule of this year. And like little did we know that A24 would blow up and become like the biggest show of
Yeah.
all time after that. But yeah, that movie that's a real Florida movie for you right there. That's for real what it's like down here.
I love that Selena Gomez was in this because she was trying to get away from the Disney image, and her mom loved Gummo. And something like the
Wow.
script went across Selena Gomez's her PR person or whatever, and she I believe said no at first, and her mom was like, "Hold on, Harmony Korine, you have to do this."
No
And so
way.
she trusted her mom and did it because of what her mom thought about Gummo.
That's really tight. I didn't know that. I've seen like interviews with Selena Gomez, and she seems pretty sick. I don't know. I might have her confused with a different Disney star, but I'm pretty sure it's Selena Gomez that does the Our Place, like pots and pans, like kitchenware stuff. Now we have a whole bunch of that shit at my house.
Yep, I think
It's
that's her.
it's like the best pot I've ever owned in my life. It's so easy to clean. It's the shit. So I'm all for Selena Gomez.
I love that we just got an infomercial for Selena Gomez pots.
Yeah, it's so funny. But yeah, Spring Breakers. That's my number. That's my number 3. So I only have one more left to go.
Yep. Man, this is going to be another whiplash because we're going from Harmony Korine and Spring Breakers to like this super classy joint. I think this is the only Criterion title on my entire list. And I had to go with the Coen brothers Inside Llewyn Davis.
Oh, I have not seen that either. I love Oscar Isaacs and I love the Coen brothers, and I've not seen this.
Oscar Isaac is immaculate in this movie. I really just got to say, a lot of my stuff, you'll probably notice I've talked about the music quite a bit tonight, and Spring Breakers is the perfect segue into that because the music is such a big part. But Inside Llewyn Davis is this gorgeous story with Oscar Isaac and Justin Timberlake, and really funny performance from Adam Driver of just this weird isolation and loneliness, and Oscar Isaac delivers it in just this really understated way that you really feel for him. And there are so many random things that happen that because he's already in such a low place, like a cat getting out of somebody's apartment can just absolutely gut somebody. This movie though is so beyond special. I mean, it's this very cold movie. There's certain scenes in the snow that really exacerbate that, but the music itself delivers on this coldness in a way that you're really not prepared for until you hear Adam Driver singing in a stupid low voice on the background of some of these tracks. And it's a movie that you can walk away from like amazed that you just saw something so great, yet also go, I kind of just want to go sit in a corner and think for a little bit now. And it hurts for a little bit because this story doesn't have that clean ending. It's the Coen brothers. They've never done that. And everything about this movie is just it's just like that perfect slice of life film, and the Coen brothers have done that a few times, and this one is done to absolute perfection.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's been super high up on my Criterion wish list forever, and it's just one that's always escaped me.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Highly recommend it.
And I didn't know that John Goodman was in that.
John Goodman is in almost every Coen brothers movie since whatever the first one is. So he's not in this. I don't think he's in this for super long, but
okay.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's really sick. Yeah, that's definitely on my watch list. Stan Geezy said he's so eager to see Corinne's new film. Me too. And I still have not seen, I think it's Beach Bum was his last one. I have not seen that yet. I still need to see that. But I did go and see the Travis Scott Utopia concert film in theaters this year. And he pretty much directs most of that because the movie is basically set up like with a few music videos at the start. It's it's only like an hour and 10 minutes long. It's pretty short, I believe. But like the first like 8 minutes of it is like 3 different music videos, and one of them is Gaspar Noé does one of the videos in it, and then there's some other big directors, but then Harmony Korine directs like the whole like last 45 minutes of it, which is all shot at the Coliseum, like the Pompeii, like where Pink Floyd performed. It's all kind of shot in there, like with speakers set up and everything. It's pretty cool. But so I did get to see that in theaters this year. And then Flickering Waves say, if it was supposed to be Daytona, that's funny since a lot of it was shot on the west coast of Florida. I believe that they shot it in a few different cities, and I think it was Vice that put out a
Vice has done a few things on Corinne, yeah.
Yeah, Vice did like a 3-part like series on their YouTube channel that around the time that came out, where they talked about like the behind the scenes of filming it. Pretty sure they filmed that like almost all over. Like I think West Coast, Miami, Daytona. I think they filmed it in like 5 or 6 different cities here in Florida. I think they picked and choose like different locations, but yeah, it's a fire movie. So I guess it's my last one.
Yep, number 2, your last one.
Okay, so this one we can argue about its release date because IMDb says 2012.
Interesting.
But I have the Criterion, and the Criterion disc says 2013 on the back. So who do we believe?
Well, what it probably played film festivals.
It's exactly what happened. It played film festivals. It's on IMDb. It does say that the nationwide release was 2013.
Well, I tend to go with the nationwide release.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but it says 2013 on the Criterion packaging. But mine is Frances Ha.
Yeah.
It's my number 2, though, by the way. Wolf of Wall Street was my number 1, but Frances Ha is my number 2. This, next to Spring Breakers, is probably the one I've rewatched the most in the past 10 years. I've probably watched this like 4 or 5 times. I don't rewatch a lot of movies because I have my whole wall of of shit over here. So yeah, I have a lot of stuff that I'm always trying to catch up with. So it's very rare that I rewatch movies. So if I've rewatched a movie like more than 3 times, that's pretty rare. But Frances Ha was one of the first probably 10, 15 Criterions that I got. And I got it because it was a newer movie, and it was shot with the Canon 5D Mark II, which was a digital camera. I was super interested. Noah Baumbach was not my favorite director to work with. I'd like to hear more about that. But it was shot with the Canon 5D Mark II, which was at that time was a camera that I was super interested in getting. And of course, I couldn't afford it because it was like a right. Camera. But that time period was very, I was very interested in digital filmmaking because it was something that was becoming more accessible to me. I'd started working. I wound up getting a Canon T5i, which was a $700 camera. Because of this movie, it is quite rewatchable. I didn't love it the first time it came in. Yeah, the Criterion release of it is amazing, and the special features on it are great because they have the cinematographers on it talking about how they get this very unique look out of a digital camera, because at this time a lot of stuff was still shot on film in 2013, believe it or not, but the digital cameras that were being used at this time were not DSLRs, and this was shot with a DSLR, and they talk about all the different lenses and the different filters and the post-processing that they do to get this very unique image for this movie. And it introduced me to Greta Gerwig. It introduced me to Adam Driver, who are now huge parts of pop culture, which is super crazy to think about. Like when I was watching this movie, they're just like these, New Yorky hipster fucking characters that you never think would be, the biggest names in Hollywood 10 years later. But here we are. But yeah, this disc is amazing. It's one of my favorite Criterions. It's a dual format disc as well. Shouts out to the old dual format discs.
Yeah, this is great. Obviously, Greta Gerwig is a big part of our last year of cinema. The conversation surrounding Barbie really starts with stuff like Frances Ha. I mean, her performance in this and the other stuff that she's directed has been a big deal. And funny enough, I'm wearing House of the Devil, which Greta
Ooh.
Gerwig is in, and
Oh,
it plays a really memorable part where she gets murdered mercilessly, and it's great. I did not expect Frances Ha to come up tonight, but yeah, I love the performances in this, and it absolutely is a really real well made rewatchable movie. However, I just don't love the movie that much, and
okay.
it is one of those where a lot of people just don't love it, and a
Yeah.
lot of people think that like it's this indie darling that changed the way that they looked at film. So I completely understand loving it so much.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. So yeah, I guess all that's left now is your number one.
My number one, and man, we have been, a handful of the last few things that we've talked about, including Francis Ha. Like a lot of these are very miserable movies. Just talk about Inside Llewyn Davis being about
Yeah, yeah.
depression and loneliness
So,
and isolation. Blue Ruin is just revenge and sadness. Wolf of Wall Street, everybody hates everybody.
Spring Breakers is
Um,
disgusting.
Spring Breakers is gross throughout. But I really think that I'm ending on the most depressing possible note, and easily the most emotional movie on my list, which is from again a director that is making lots of waves in 2024. I have to go with Denis Villeneuve's Prisoners as my number one movie. This movie, starring Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal and Paul Dano and Viola Davis and a couple of like Melissa Leo is great in it. It's a movie with a child and their friend that goes missing, and a parent taking that anguish of a missing child into his own hands. And there are scenes in this that are more raw and depressing than anything else I've named on this list so far. But overall, the movie is directed brilliantly for such a young director who had only done 2 films before this. This movie is acted, especially by Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal and Paul Dano, in really, really dramatic ways that could have been looked at as like comically depressing, but they go over the top in a very realistic way. So it certainly just comes across as a very depressing movie. I really, really think that anybody that has never seen this, I understand that the marketing was not great for this, and it really came across as this melodrama. It is way more complex than that, and especially in that final act, like you really start to see the depravity of what can happen to people when put into tense situations. I think Denis in his smaller films was really a master of tension, even in something like Sicario that was borderline turning into a huge movie. He really ramps up the tension very well in that, but in his bigger movies, I think he started to lose that a little bit. And so I do wish that he would go back to some of these, not like one set pieces necessarily, but something that was a little more contained. I think he does better with harnessing emotions when he's not world building. And when you're doing stuff like Dune and Blade Runner 2049, you have to spend all your time world building, unfortunately. So,
Mhm.
as much as the performances and all these other things are great, I love his directing and things like this, and the aforementioned Sicario, and even like the movie Arrival. That movie is full of world building, but he still does really great with that building of the tension. I don't know. I feel like he is getting away from what made him an incredible filmmaker.
That's awesome. It's you know what, and I think that makes 9 out of your 10 movies I have not seen.
And the only other one is one that was on both of our lists, and it was your number one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, Prisoners has definitely been on my watch list for a super long time. Sicario, I think, is like kind of the ending of that time period of
Yep.
2013 to 15 to me. That was like amazing movies. Or was 15 or 16 was Sicario?
I feel like it was 15 because I think Arrival was 16.
I think you're right. So I always consider like the Sicario and the Revenant was kind of like the end of like that kind of that
Yep.
span of movies right there that were just so fucking good. And then like after that, it kind of entered in this new era of film for me. But I actually really liked Arrival too.
Yeah.
I thought that was an awesome movie. I saw that.
Amy
In
Adams is
theaters.
great in that.
Yep. Yep. I saw that in theaters, and I also saw Sicario in theaters. Sicario was probably my favorite movie in theaters that year.
It was a
So
good one.
Prisoners has been on my watch list for a very long time. So that's definitely something that I'll definitely get. And he
I
says,
think I've heard that from you like 7 or 8 times tonight.
yeah, no, I know that's my issue. My watch list on IMDb is like over
Oh, same.
2,000. Yeah, it's like so everything. I'm like, oh yeah, I know about that definitely. But Prisoners is probably one I'll get to before the rest of this other stuff because I do need to see the Dune movies. Still, I have not seen. I know Dune Part 2 is not out yet, but
Yep.
Yeah, Prisoners has been up there for a while.
It's in my opinion, it's Denis' best. I know a lot of people love Sicario, a lot of people love Blade Runner 2049. Hell, a lot of people love Arrival, but yeah, my favorite by far is Prisoners.
Okay, and I see flickering waves here. I will say that my 11. I'm sorry. Yes, I do need me a Dune popcorn bucket. That's been the talk in the group chat for a while, for the past like week. But I will say my top 10, my number 12 was Sound City, and then my number 13 was Gravity. I don't know why people hated Gravity so much. I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson came out and said, actually, this doesn't make any fucking sense. And everybody's like, yeah, this movie's fucking stupid.
Why don't you name through all of your honorable mentions since we just got 2 of them?
Okay, yeah. Those were 2. Let's see. And then also I had Green Inferno, Eli Roth's Green Inferno. I really
still have not seen that one.
Oh, okay, yeah, those were fun. I dig like low budget horror movies.
Yeah.
Like that's I dig that stuff. But Nebraska was one that I remember having 3 of my friends over at my house. I rented that on Redbox. We all went to McDonald's.
That's a weird joint friends together.
They're like, this is the last time we're letting you pick the movie, Gage. I was like, this movie's really fucking good, guys. What the fuck? Also, it was Frozen. Frozen is fucking awesome, which I didn't see that until 2021. So
nice.
I saw that very late, and I still have not seen Frozen 2 yet. Also, I had Warm Bodies, which surprisingly was really fucking good. I liked that.
Yep.
The girl I was seeing wanted to watch it, and we saw it in theaters. That movie was really good. Let's see. Gravity. Let's see. Oh, Great Gatsby. People hate on the Baz Luhrmann stuff. I've not seen Elvis, but I really enjoyed Great Gatsby. That was like another one of those movies, more so than anything. It just reminds me of that time period in my life.
I was going to say Great Gatsby seems like a Gage movie for sure.
I'm pretty sure I rented that on Redbox and watched it like at midnight on Sunday before my first day of senior year of high school. I think is when I watched that movie. So just like that time period, and then also the time period in the movie, you know, it's just very me, I guess. And then it's also part of the Leonardo DiCaprio, time period.
Right.
Okay, Elvis is Sensory Overload. That sounds great. I like that. I like Sensory Overload. And then sorry, because like what I did was I wrote down 19 movies and then I made my top 10. So I'm trying to
totally get it.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I think the only other one that I had on here. Okay, because there's the one that I'm clearly. I told you before we went live. I said there's one on here that I didn't want to talk about in public.
Right.
If you guys want my story on it, you can go pay for Ryan's Patreon and join our Discord, and I will tell my story of Nymphomaniac on there. That's my
what a tease.
Yeah, what a tease. If you really want to see it, you got to join the Discord. Yeah, those movies, I dug those a lot. And then the other one on here, I had it on here just because like it's so crazy that at the time it was like, this is the best movie of all time, and now it's never fucking talked about. Do you know what I'm talking about? Dallas Buyers Club.
Oh yeah, it didn't make my list either.
Yeah, it didn't. But isn't that crazy? Like, do you remember when that movie came out? Like how
it was huge.
That movie was.
Yeah.
Like they're like, this is the most important movie of the past 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's part of the Matthew McConaughey and then Jared Leto, and
that was like the height of the Matthew McConaughey.
And I think Jared Leto and Matthew McConaughey both won Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor.
So.
And I think Dallas Buyers Club won Best Picture, right? Or did it win Best Director?
No, best director went to Alfonso Cuarón for Gravity for
Gravity.
sure.
Okay, yeah.
Um,
But yeah, it won like a few Oscars and stuff, and it was just like
Yeah.
such a big deal, and nobody talks about that movie at all anymore. It's so weird,
That's a
isn't
good
it?
call. That's a good call.
Yeah.
All right, so my list, which we do share a couple of these, which is great. Number 11 for me is Side Effects. This is the
Oh
Steven
yeah,
Soderbergh
Steven
movie from
Soderbergh. That
this
was the
year.
last one before he retired.
The first time, yeah.
Yeah.
Great movie. Also one that nobody seems to talk about. Side Effects is great and really important for obviously, the healthcare industry is a big deal and
Mhm.
something that everybody needs to talk about. Number 12, one we shared, Nebraska. I love Alexander Payne's Nebraska.
Yeah, that movie is amazing.
It is so much fun. Love the two main performances. It's great.
I didn't realize it was an Alexander Payne movie.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just I just was watching him talk about a movie I just watched the other day. Have you ever seen Il Sorpasso?
I
Criterion
don't think I've ever seen the entire thing
Italian
though.
road comedy?
I
Okay,
know
that
what it
movie's
is. Yeah.
that yeah, it's fucking sick. But I was watching Alexander Payne talk about it on YouTube today, so that's funny you said that.
13 for me is the other Denis Villeneuve film from 2013, Enemy. It's really good. Another Jake Gyllenhaal performance. I am a big fan of doppelganger movies, and this is like the epitome of that. Really love this one. Super confusing ending. Very well made. I really wish people would check this out. Number 14, one that I think a lot of people forget about time. I am a fan of unconventional romantic comedies, and this one's less of a comedy, but it's a really good, unique movie about time, and love it. Yeah, this movie's fun. 15 is Gravity. So I don't hate Gravity like most people. I have an actual pretty big attachment to this because I watched this on 3D at a friend's house.
I saw it on 3D in theaters, and it's the best. It's the only time that I've ever been like, this was, if I didn't see it in 3D, I would have been disappointed. It's amazing.
So this is the first movie I saw on a 3D TV with proper 3D glasses done at home, like with the ones that need power and everything.
Yeah.
It hit home for many reasons, but I definitely am attached to it primarily because the friend that introduced it to me has since taken their own life, and so it's got just a really big attachment for me.
Sure.
16 is a movie I've talked about before, and we talked about Oscilloscope earlier. Oscilloscope released this. It's the movie Coherence. Around 2013 to 2015, we had a handful of movies that came out that were about like odd dinner parties and fucked up things happening at dinner parties, and Coherence and The Invitation are the two that are great from this. And Coherence is wild. It's one that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and it by the end it starts to come together a little bit more, but either way you're left wanting like this is just such a weird universe. I got to know what's going on. And Coherence is great. It was made with like 5 people on set, and the writers were starring in the movie and writing the movie as they went through the movie.
Wow.
And it gives it this super unique feel. Absolutely love this one.
And that has an oscilloscope, you said?
It does have an oscilloscope release, yeah.
Blu-ray or DVD?
Blu-ray too, yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then the last one, it's been talked about 5,000 times, so I don't need to say too much about it, but Only Lovers Left Alive, really stylish vampire movie. I think it's really fun, super unique, probably a little overrated, but that's why it's so low on my list. I think it's good enough to warrant at least an honorable mention.
Something about that movie, there's like a ukulele score or something.
Maybe it's been a while since I've rewatched it. That makes sense.
I think Sunray, my theater, they had like the guy that I guess did the score for it or some shit was there like live performing with the movie or some shit like that. I remember that happening. But yeah, I need to see that movie.
It's good. It's also really odd.
Yeah, that's okay. I like odd.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, if you're looking for an unconventional vampire movie, check out Only Lovers Left Alive.
Okay. Well,
Stan says many good choices tonight. I'm glad that you approve, Stan.
I think it was Sibner said part 1 or part 2 of Nymphomaniac. I actually watched it as one movie. It was on
Nice.
Netflix as one movie. So I didn't know that it was 2 parts when I watched it. So
Nice.
that was like when I way back in 2013.
That's a long depraved time.
Yeah. My story was very funny, but I'm just teasing you guys. I'm trying to get your subscribe or your Patreon members up, Ryan, as well.
Well, Sibner's in the Discord, so
There you go.
Sibner will be there to read the story. Anybody else, come check out the Patreon. Yeah, I can't wait to read this story. For everybody else, I mean, man, comment on the video below. Not in the live chat, but comment on the video with some of your lists. Share with the people that are going to watch this over the next few days. I would love to hear what everybody thinks about it, because I feel like we're leaving off a couple big ones, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty damn proud of both of our lists. I feel like we did really well.
Yeah, I know. I mean, mine's like pretty a lot of popular movies from that
So
year.
is mine, but
Yeah, yeah.
we covered a lot of like genre grounds too, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, we did. We hopped all over the place. Lots of different various budgets too. Big movies, small movies. So
Well, as I said at the very beginning, support Norman Studios. Go check out the stuff that they're doing. If you're anywhere near Southern Georgia, go go find out what you can do to participate in person. I would love to make a trip down there one of these days. But
yeah, please, anybody that's around here, you can. We are now open for February. We've been open every Saturday, and I'm killing myself that I should know this, but I believe it's every first and third Saturday of the month that we are open from 11 to 3. So you can go to our Facebook page and it'll tell you, but I'm pretty sure it's the first and third Saturdays every month will be open from 11 to 3.
And it's all of that is linked in the description for the video below. When the merch goes up again, I will highlight that and give everybody an opportunity to purchase it, because I think it's a worthy cause and something that we should all band together to assist with.
Yep. Any amount of even just sharing the page or anything helps.
All right. I think that's all we got tonight. We did a lot. I mean, I didn't think we were going to go 4 hours, and here we are.
Well, I think there's lots of bizarre stuff like the Sony news and stuff being
right. Well, and
a little bit more time than we thought.
Not to mention, I could just talk to you for days on end.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. I really do enjoy coming and chatting with you guys, and being in the Discord's been awesome. And you're always, I mean, I listen to you most of my work week. So to me, you're like a very close friend. So it's very easy to talk to you.
That means the absolute world. Yeah, I mean, I don't listen to you 24/7, but man, when we talk, I feel like we're just catching up after old times.
Yes, sir. I really appreciate everything. Thank you for having me on, brother.
Anytime. We'll have to get you back on in a few months, and everybody else, check out the Patreon in the link below so you can read Gage's story and anything else that's coming up. There's a lot that's going to be going on, I promise, and we'll be sharing that in the Discord. And until next time, have a good week, stay safe, and we'll see you next Thursday. Thank you for watching the disc. Watch what? Go ahead.
Watch more silent movies.
Watch more silent films for always. Now, here goes the credits. Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share with someone else that may appreciate this.